Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Evolving Single Parent Nation podcast. Today we have a very special guest. Her name is Tara Clark, who is the founder and host of the popular Modern Mom Problems. Wow. She is a candidate conversation for moms from walks of all life with a passion for discussing the challenges, the triumphs of modern motherhood. Tara offers a refreshing perspective on the realities of being a mom in today's world. She's also a social media expert, writer, and advocate for self care, mental health, and empowering women. Her work inspires me and other moms everywhere to embrace this journey with authenticity and confidence. I'm so excited to have her. Welcome to the Evolving Single Parent Nation podcast. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here with you today.
I know I actually had came across you on social media. I think it's Instagram. And
Hmm.
I'm like modern day mom problems. So I found your podcast. And
Yeah.
it's so funny that the one that the latest one that I touched, it was on mental health in the workplace. And
Yes,
like
that's an important one.
I was like, I have to reach out to Tara because it resonated with me so much.
Yeah, that's a really big one because mental health and the workplace were never two phrases that sort of like ever came together, right? Like there was mental health and then there was like workplace, and it's so important to have these conversations about mental health in the workplace. You got to take care of your employees, you got to take care of your people, and I'm so glad that we're having those conversations now.
Yeah, yeah. And I think we don't talk about it, right? We don't talk about mental health. We're afraid, we're ashamed, and
Hmm.
we don't talk especially about in the workplace.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And that's why I'm so glad that employers now and employees, but employers are empowering their employees to talk about their struggles, to talk about some of their challenges, and that it's an okay thing to do. I recently was selected by the Mental Health Coalition to be a Mental Health Coalition champion, which means that I am a mental health advocate. And their big thing is mental health in the workplace and having conversations about mental health in the workplace. And so it's so important to speak up when you are struggling or where you're having challenges at work, because more often than not, things could be changed. Maybe, work could be delegated, or they could bring on somebody else, or you can share the load, if you will. So it's important to have these conversations so that it doesn't result in burnout and, God forbid, anything worse.
yeah. So I'm so curious to know what inspired you to start Modern Mom Problems podcast and what
Yeah.
your journey been like.
Sure. So I guess I'll start at the beginning. Well, so before my son was born, I worked at Nickelodeon. So I loved Nickelodeon. It was like an amazing company with the most like talented people. There was a time where I was Dora the Explorer on Facebook, and my mom used to run around and tell people like, my daughter's Dora the Explorer. I was like, on Facebook, mommy, on Facebook, like chill. And so I loved working at Nickelodeon. But when my son was born, I didn't know if I was going to go back full time or go back part time. I
Mhm.
tried to go back part time and they were like, no, it's a full time head. So it's all or nothing. And I was like, all right, so I'm going to stay home with him. So I stayed home with him until he was 3. And then I got the idea to start an Instagram parenting page. And at that time, no one was doing that. And I told my friends and family, I was like, I'm going to make an Instagram parenting page. I'm going to monetize it. And they were like, you're going to what? Like, what are you talking about? I was like, no, it's going to be a thing. Follow me. It's going to be a thing. And they're like, all right, yeah, that's cool. Good luck with that. And so that's what I did. And at the time I was living in New York City. So I was talking about like New York City mom problems. And then we moved out to the suburbs of New Jersey, and I switched the name from New York City mom problems to modern mom problems. And then the account just like took off from there because obviously more people are having modern mom problems. So I like to say that it covers anything. Like a modern mom problem is anything that is like both serious and funny. Anything that falls underneath that umbrella is something I'm going to talk about. So it's something as silly as like, like really silly stuff, like, going through the drive through at McDonald's, to like being like, thank God, like our kids are strapped into the back of the car so I could get like a free moment in time, to really serious things like mental health and pregnancy loss, postpartum depression, so many things that moms struggle with. And so I've been doing it now since 2016 is when I had like the old account name. 2017 is when I switched it to Modern Mom Prob. So I've been doing it for a minute and I love it. It makes me so happy. And another reason why I started it too is that when I was living in New York City, I did not really have any mom friends. I had my friends from my job, but they weren't parents yet. And so
Mhm.
when I had my son, it was really lonely. And so I was looking for a way to make friends, make connections. And so luckily through Instagram, I made friends all over the country, all over the world.
Yeah, amazing. I love that story. I wish I came across you earlier.
I gotta say, I think my content was better earlier. Like when my son was young, I started it when he was three-ish, 3 or 4. No, three. He was 3. When you have a 3-year-old, there's just so much content. There's just like so much stuff. They're saying the funniest things, they're doing the craziest stuff. There's just like endless content. Now he's 12. So it's not as much content. It's just different. Life changes. It's different. Parenting is different when they get older. But it's been a fun ride. It really has been.
What have been some of the biggest challenges modern moms face today? And how do you think
Ooh,
social media has influenced that?
ooh, well, it's a lot. It's a lot. I usually say I think I have like a set 5. I recently did a video about 10, but 10 is like really stretching it. But these are sort of my top 5. One is that we lack an in-person village. Gone are the days where everyone's living together, maybe in the same building or even on the same block, when you can go to your auntie like across the street and your grandmother's there and you have a lot of cousins and you have a lot of sisters and everyone is able to pitch in and help raise the kids. Now people live all across the country, all across the world. They're not necessarily near their actual family and their village. So they have to create a village or they have to pay for a village. Paying a babysitter is that's your village, right?
Yeah.
So so lack of an in-person village, loneliness is another big one. I mentioned that earlier. And loneliness is a huge, huge thing for moms. And that also is tied into social media comparison. And I lump technology into that and screen time, which is another one of the modern mom problems. Social media comparison is hard because there is a certain level of expectation versus reality, right?
Mhm.
That we see. It's like, oh, I think I should be acting like this, but really, like, my life doesn't look like that. Like what you're seeing on Instagram and what your life is actually like often like two totally different things. And then you feel bad about yourself that you're not like living this life. And it's like, yeah, but this life is an illusion. This isn't true for 99% of people. So you have to understand that, and like manage the expectations of that and move on, just be like, okay, I clock it, I understand, and then move on and go about your own business and about your own day and appreciating what you do have. And so that's a big part of modern mom problems as well. And then there's like so much information overload. You're Googling stuff and there's like 1,000 different websites. And then there's like 1,000 different people trying to sell you something. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, I just wanted to know about, I'm just trying to think, like sleep training, right? And they're like, well, these are all the products you could buy. This is the right way to do it. This is the right way to do it. And you're
Mhm.
like, I don't know. I don't know. Now I'm worse off than I was in the first place because I'm so confused.
So much
So,
noise.
right? So much. So that's another big one, as well as the information overload. And you don't really know which way to go. And you're like, should I trust my gut? Should I ask my friends? Like, I don't know. Do I ask my mom? She may know, but from like 30 years ago. So it's not the same thing. So it's tricky. There's a lot of different things going on right now for the modern moms.
It's crazy. So much noise. Now, how do you, and people talk about balancing, right? When people
Yeah.
ask me, I'm like, listen, I just get things done, but I'm being more intentional on taking care of myself,
Yes.
physically and mentally. Now,
Yeah.
how do you balance motherhood, work, self-care without feeling overwhelmed?
Yeah. It's such a good question because I feel like this is a question that our mothers would not have been asked back in the day. Like, I bet if I would ask my mom, like, not now because it's part of the conversation, it's part of like the vocabulary now, but if I would have asked her years ago, like, what do you do for self-care, she would have been like, what, wait, you what are you talking about? And I'm and I know that that's what she would be doing because my mom was a single mom. She worked in the restaurant business. She worked 120 hours a week every week for like 25 years, maybe longer. And so like, she's like, self-care, what? Who? She'd probably
Yeah.
be like, I took a shower. Is that what you mean? I'm like, yeah, I took a shower in between shifts. If that's what you mean. Yeah, that's what I mean, mom. Or she would have been like, well, I had a cigarette. Does that count? And like, no, but maybe back in like, 1990 or whatever, 95 or whatever, she would have been like, yeah. Um, but for me, I'm so glad, going back to like glad that we're having these conversations. I'm glad that people are talking about taking care of ourselves. I'm glad that people are intentional about our behaviors and about the way that we treat ourselves and how we treat our kids. And I think that is such a big, important question to have. So to answer your question, how do I balance it? I'm very good at compartmentalizing things. So when I'm with my son, I'm just with my son and I'm trying to give him my undivided attention as much as I can. When I am with work, I try to just, focus on work as much as I can. So I try to be effective in each of those areas, because if I try to do everything all at the same time, then it's sloppy, it's messy. It's like my emails for work aren't coming out good. I'm not really paying attention to him the way that I should be. So when I can, I really try to just, like I said, focus on what I can when I can.
That's so good. That's so good. Yeah. What are some
Because you know what? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was thinking like last night he was playing this video game, right? And he's like, "Ma, I want to show you this video game." And I was working on something on my phone. It was for work, and he's like, "You're not even looking." Just like, and like that breaks my heart. And I'm like, "No, I am looking." And I was sort of like looking and then looking, like looking up at him and then looking down, back and forth. But every time he turned around, my head happened to be down, so it was just like missing up on the timing. Like he wasn't looking when I was looking. But he's like, "You're never looking. You don't look." And like that breaks my heart. And I know that I'm not alone in that as a parent, because the kids, they just want our attention, right? They want our presence. And so what I should have done in that situation was like excused myself from the room, did what I had to do, send the emails, whatever it was, and put my phone away, and then come back and look at his video game. Like that should have been the right thing. When I was trying to do the email and trying to do his video game at the same time, it just like, it wasn't right. And so I need to be better about focusing on the one thing at a time.
that is true. So I was actually listening to a podcast and the expert, I forgot his name, he said that whatever your kids come to you, whatever they say, repeat it. Like if they say, Mom, look at this, like, okay, son, what do you want me to look at? But it's hard because they don't understand. They come when you're doing something. So
Yeah.
they're misunderstanding you. So like you said, you looked, but he didn't see when you look. And as
Mm-hmm.
moms, you're multitasking. Even as a single
Yeah.
mom, you're
Yep.
multitasking even more. So it's
Yep.
almost like a misunderstanding. But I
Yep.
say all the time, you weren't even listening. You weren't even looking.
Yes.
What did
And
I
then
just
it's like,
say?
but I am. It's like, I'm trying. It's like I said, we were just like missing each other. And sometimes
Yeah.
that's hard. But I felt bad when he's like, come on, you're not even looking. And I was like, I was trying. I was like, you're driving a yellow car. I see it. I see it. But I don't know. I should have just, like I said, walked out of the room, did my thing. I don't know, hid out in the bathroom for a couple minutes, did my thing, and then come back. But yeah, it's a lesson that you learn. It's a process.
Yeah. My daughter asked me before, what did I just say? And I was listening, so I was able to repeat what she said. But it's okay. We just have to forgive ourselves and just keep it moving. What are
Exactly.
some of the
Exactly.
misconceptions about motherhood you'd like to debunk?
Oh, that's a good question, Priscilla. Um, One of them is, and I feel like I see this a lot on the internet, is that we are not superheroes. We cannot do it all. We should not have to do it all. Someone sh- who, and I don't know who this person is or what this person is, should be there to help us, right? We
Yeah.
need to create our own village, even if it is a paid village, if it's a paid babysitter, if it's a paid person who picks your kids up from school while you're at work, right? Like
Mhm.
we have to create and build and nurture our village, because we cannot do it alone. We cannot be everything to everybody all of the time. We just
Sure.
cannot. And so I think that's probably the biggest thing. I really hate the martyr complex of motherhood. And I feel like someone like the older generation really had that, where they felt very put upon, where they were like, oh, I do this all the time and do this. Well, then you know what? Then you got to speak up and you got to like say something and advocate for yourself. And whether it's having your kids help like pitch in and help you, or having like your parents, if you're lucky enough to have them nearby to help you, like we need to not put everything on the moms, because they will be drowning. They will be drowning and they cannot do it. And you cannot do everything all the time. You just cannot.
Yeah.
And like with my mom and my upbringing, my grandparents, God bless them, because they were so good. They were the only babysitters I had, but like a lot, like it wasn't like once in a while. It was like I was over there all the time. And I know that my mom would not have been able to support us if it wasn't for my grandparents taking care of me. And whether it was like my grandfather coming over on school nights, or me going there on the weekends, or whatever it was, or I went to my dad's house actually on the weekend. So he sort of babysat me while my mom worked on the weekends. But yeah, if it wasn't for my grandparents, and that was my mom's village, right? Like that was it. And then she also relied on my friends' parents to like pick me up from school sometimes if I needed, rides when she couldn't be there for rides. And so sometimes like you don't want to always have to like ask people for favors, and sometimes like maybe that feels icky, but like you have to know a couple things. One, people are willing to help. If you have good friends and they're like, your children's best friends' parents, don't be shy to ask.
Yeah.
I spent so many dinners at my friends' families' houses, like they were cooking my dinner, or they were picking me up from school or driving me home and stuff like that, because my mom was working, and so she wasn't able to do it. And they were so accommodating.
Yeah.
They were never like, oh, I don't want to take you home or whatever. They're like, no, like that's my child's best friend, so of course I'm going to take her home and help out when I can. And so more often than not, people do tend to be understanding of a situation and wanting to help and willing to help
Yeah. So
when
that,
they can. Cause like,
yeah,
sometimes like, if you don't want to put them out of the way, if like they're in a situation that you can't do
yeah,
it either, then it's, I don't know, then everyone has to work together. Then you got to figure out a different system.
true. Yeah. So that's something that I'm learning to do, like to ask for help, because I
Yeah.
took independence to another level where it's like you do everything by yourself, and then all of a sudden you just you're struggling. Like you
Yeah.
need to ask for help. Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Yeah. No, it really is. It's a thing. I learned that later as being a mom. Like when my son was first born, I really never asked for help. I was like, I got it. I got this. I got this. I got this. And I did. I did. But when I sort of sat back, I was like, I didn't have to do it like that. I didn't have to do that. I could have asked for help. I could have, been better about delegating or whatever it is. And like I said, I use my mom as an example because she was good about it. And maybe she did feel shy, and maybe she didn't want to have to ask, but she did. And the people said yes. And then it worked out.
yeah, awesome. How can single parents they navigate through unique challenges like modern day mom problems while thriving?
Yeah. I think that really goes back to what we were just talking about a minute ago, was like asking for help, finding your village, creating your village, maybe paying for your village, maybe not. And don't try to do everything all the time by yourself. Like try to build your own community whenever you can. And I know that's probably easier said than done, but maybe you have a neighbor that, I'm just saying him, it's making me think of my mom lives in a condo complex, and she has this new neighbor, and he's like lovely. He's like a younger single guy. And every time she needs her, like, what are those called, smoke detectors fixed, he'll come over and put the batteries in,
Mhm.
like that kind of stuff. And so like that is part of her village now, right? And
Yeah.
so it's finding those neighbors and finding those people that are willing to help. And then you would do the same thing. So she always says to him like, hey, do you need anything? Like, can I help you? So that it's a reciprocal relationship, so that like she's not always taking from him, and then and so that she feels like it's balanced. And so she's very lucky now to have really nice neighbors like that. That was not always the case, but
Yeah.
I think that's true across the board. Because even when growing up, we lived in a garden apartment. And so we had a downstairs neighbor, and like same thing with them. Like we were always friends with them. And so it was the same thing. If they ever needed anything or we ever needed anything, it worked out. And we always like kept an eye out for each other, and I think that's important, is to build that sense of community when you can.
Yeah. Awesome. Now, I think moms have more parenting guilt than
Oh
dads.
yeah. That's because you've never heard the phrase dad guilt, right? Like, when have you ever heard that, like, as a phrase on something, right? You hear mom guilt all the time. Mom guilt, mom shame, all that kind of stuff. Dads are like, what? Say what?
Yeah. And if it does exist for dad guilt, they need to talk about it. But when it comes
Right.
to mom guilt, is something almost every mother experience, right? What are some of the strategies to overcome that?
Oh, that is $1 million question. It really is like that. Like, if I had like the perfect answer to that, I would really I'd be very excited. For me, what I have done and what I have read, you know, with all of the work that I've done, because I read a lot of parenting books because of the podcast and Instagram and stuff like that. And so with mom guilt, you have to approach it in a certain way. Going back to like the compartmentalizing things, you have to sort of like question it and be like, why do I feel like this? What what is making me feel guilty in this exact moment? Is it that I'm on my phone and my son's asking for my attention? Is it that I'm driving to work on a holiday and I really want to be home with my family and I feel guilty that I'm not home with my family? It makes me think of a story of my mom told me. She always, because she worked in the restaurant business, she always worked holidays. So
Mhm.
usually my holidays, I was either with like my dad and his family or my grandparents. And I remember one time she told me that I think it was Easter or Christmas. It was Easter or Christmas. And she was driving to work and she was like sobbing, like incontrollable, like uncontrollable sobbing driving to work because she felt so bad that, she had to go work and like host other families coming in to celebrate that holiday, and she was leaving me by myself, right? Well, I wasn't by myself, I was in my other family, but without her. And I think that's a great example of mom guilt. But like, she knew she didn't have a choice, like she had to go to work that day. And I with any feelings, I think it's important to question why we feel what we do. And so to overcome that, then you have to sort of tell yourself, like what my mom told herself is like, I have to go to work today. I'll see Tara tomorrow and we'll get to celebrate Easter. Let's just call it Easter because I don't remember what holiday it was, but like, we'll get to celebrate Easter tomorrow and we could do
Mhm.
baskets together and we can make it really special. And it just happens to be one day. So you sort of talk yourself, not that you're talking yourself out of your feelings, you could feel your feelings and sit in your feelings for those, but then after that make a plan. So I think the best thing to do is to make a plan on how you then can like overcome that. So whether it's celebrating a holiday maybe a day later and then just going all in and just having so much fun and really being present with your children and really focusing on that.
Mhm.
That's just one example because I always remember that story about my mom with Easter, and she was just felt so guilty that she had to drop me off and go because you know what that's like when you want to be with somebody but you really have to do something else. Like, it's a horrible feeling. It's a horrible feeling. It's like, who doesn't want to get dressed up and go out for Easter dinner, doing your own thing, and then you have to be the one working it, right? It's a bad feeling. So that's just one example about mom guilt, but it could be so many different things. It goes back to the social media comparison when we were saying like, oh, well, this girl has this life and I want that life and I feel like
Right.
I feel bad that I don't have the life that I see.
Right.
Well, again, it goes back to questioning it. Like, what's making you feel like, where's that place coming from? Where's that coming from that's making you feel like that? And then sort of like work through it. What's your plan to sort of get through that? And so that's a little bit about how I feel with mom guilt. And for me, like, I used to have a lot of it when my son was little, and the older he's gotten, the less I feel like that. I don't know if it's like a matter of like my own maturity. And I
Mhm.
want to say maybe that's what it is. It's part of my own maturity, but I really don't have that same level of mom guilt as I did when he was little. I don't know.
So I know for me, mom guilt started very early. Like after
Mm-hmm.
I had baby, I wanted to go back to the gym and then
Yeah.
felt guilty. I'm like, because I usually spend an hour and a half, two at the gym. And
Wow, that's amazing. Good for you.
I'm like 2 hours away from the newborn baby.
Yeah.
And I felt
Yeah.
guilty. So I never went. But
Mm-hmm.
then over the years, and it took years to get to the point where, like, look, like everything is revolving around the kids, like, do something for you.
Yes.
So it took me a long time to overcome some of my guilt, but I like your strategy assess and find a solution.
Yes, exactly. It's funny that you're saying about going to the gym. I used to be guilty when I said about my son. I felt guilty when my son was younger. That was the sort of stuff that I felt guilty on. Like I like even taking a shower. Like I'd be like, oh, I gotta take a but look, I gotta take a shower. What am I not gonna take a shower? You know, you bring him into the bathroom, let him sit in the car seat on the floor. Like he's okay. Um, so yeah, I definitely have gotten over that kind of stuff.
And so I think I did that. And that's probably the reason why every time I'm in the shower, my kids are in the bathroom.
Yep. Yep. That's probably what it is. They're like, Mama, what are you doing? What's going on?
Like, can I get 10 minutes of privacy?
So, and you deserve that. You deserve
Yeah.
those 10 minutes of privacy and
It's
more.
yeah, it's not as deserved. You need it. You need to
Yes.
breathe and just think for you and just think
Yes.
about you and you. Like,
Yes. Yes. Because you are still a person. You're not
yeah,
just mom, right? You are Priscilla before you had them and after you had them, you are still a person. So I think that's a really beautiful thing about this generation is that we've identified that. It's like we're not just mom, like we are people and women outside of that role as mothers. And we act intentionally about that, right? So like we can choose to go to the gym, we can choose to take a 10-minute shower, like
yeah.
we can do all of those things, hopefully without feeling guilty. And then also not feeling like that martyrdom that other previous generations had felt.
Yeah. And so I'm glad we're speaking about this because I realized that generations behind me, they have a lot of the guilt that they're sitting with is
Yeah.
heavier than back then.
Yeah.
You'll hear them, oh, I always wanted to do this and I never got
Yes.
it, you know.
Oh, yeah. My mother-in-law, her big thing is like she's always like, well, you guys went to college and I didn't get to go to college.
Yeah.
And she tells the story about how her grandfather gave her her grandfather had money and he was like, you could either get a car or go to college. And she picked getting a car so that she could drive to her job. And
Mhm.
that was her choice instead. But now all these years later, she's like, but you guys went to college and I didn't get to go to college. And so there's a lot of regret with that. Or with my mom, her thing was the regret of my parents got divorced when I was 2. So my parents were like always divorced essentially. And she never remarried or anything. And so I think like her regret was like that in her mind, she wanted to be like a stay at home mom, like how her mother was, like how my grandmother was. But like that wasn't the way that her life worked out. And I think that was like what she felt guilty for or what she always
Yeah.
secretly wanted.
Yeah. So what we're seeing, ladies and gentlemen, is the guilt later on is heavier, but
Yeah.
we just have to assess it and, like you said, find a solution and just do it because it's possible. It's possible.
Mm-hmm.
How do you set boundaries as a mom while still making time for yourself?
Boundaries is a big one. I was actually just chatting with someone yesterday about boundaries because we were talking about interruptions through your day and interruptions through your work day, whether it's like your mom calling you on the phone while you're working or your kids interrupting you while you're doing something. And what she was saying was like boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. You need to set firm yet kind boundaries for the well being of everybody. And she was saying that you don't want to put up a wall where it's just like this heavy wall that you're fighting against. You need it to be fluid enough that the people understand why you're setting them and how you're setting them so that it's not just like, well, just because I said so. It's like, well, okay, well, let me explain. Like I work from home during the days and I may be busy from 10 to 12 because I'm taking client calls. So if you call me at 10 o'clock, I may not get the phone because I'm on with a client. Like really explaining and almost over communicating those boundaries so that that person goes, oh, okay. Well, then I understand. So then I won't bother you during that time. I'll just call you later when I think you may have time. Like that's a perfect example. Same thing with our children. So if we over communicate and really explain something where, oh, mommy has to sit down for an hour to finish some of her work and then we can play together. How does that sound? And say, oh, okay. So then we're going to play together. And you're like, yeah, we're going to play together afterwards. So it's really working as a team to set those boundaries, not just having it be like, this is it and that's why, and I said so, and that's it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I call it healthy boundaries. And I
It
started
is.
healthy
Yeah.
boundaries with my workplace. Like it's no,
Mm-hmm.
no, and it's
Yes.
no.
Yes, exactly. That's what it is. Like, no, I am off the clock now. It is after 5 o'clock, and I have to be with my children,
Yeah,
and we're going to be eating dinner. And I'm not taking a call at that time. I'm not answering emails at that time. And so it's important to set those. You have to protect yourself.
yeah,
There's no two ways about it.
yeah. What role does self-care play in being a great mom? And how can
Mm,
a really busy mom make time for it?
yes, 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 yes. And self-care is not just, getting your nails done or taking a bubble bath or anything like that. It's really like a full body mindset, right? So it's saying no to things that you can't take on right now. It's saying no to things that don't spark joy in you. It's saying no that you don't have the bandwidth for this. It is protecting your mental health with setting those boundaries that we were talking about. That's self care, right? Setting boundaries is self care. And it can be getting your nails done. I'm not saying like don't get your nails done. Yeah, like I get to like to get my nails done too, but that's not like the pinnacle of it. The pinnacle of it is like having your head right because that you're putting the systems in place in your life to help you thrive. And so
Yeah,
what I mean by that is that's the setting boundaries, that's the saying no, that's the asking for help when you need help. All of those things are the systems to help you have a good headspace, and that ultimately is self-care.
yeah. So what I'm learning is, and this sounds really stupid, but it's people don't understand how important it is taking a nap is self-care. Like
Mm-hmm.
so important.
Yeah.
Sometimes you try to get that 7 8 hours sleep, but maybe you
Mm-hmm.
were working on a project, you went to bed
Yep.
late, or you had to get up early. And so
Yep.
I try to take a nap because I can't function if I don't get good sleep.
Yes.
So my balance is to my kids. I'm like, I know it's Saturday, right? I was up early. I know you want to go here, there, and there. But I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
take a nap because I'll feel better after than
Mm-hmm.
to go there. So
Mm-hmm.
that's self-care and that's healthy boundaries. Yeah.
It is. It is. Yeah, like going back to what we were saying earlier, it's like you're speaking to them and explaining why I woke up early. I need more sleep. We could go out to do all those things later after I'm well rested. Go read a book, go watch a movie. I'm going to be in my bedroom taking a nap. And when I'm done, then we can spend time together and do our thing.
Yeah. What advice do you have for single moms who struggle with feeling alone in their
Yeah.
parenting?
Yeah. It's this is a really tough one, but I feel like I have experience with this one because of my mom and because of my other friends. And I know how lonely it is to be a mother, period, even if you do have a partner. Take that being a single mom, and then it's like, astronomical, like way, way beyond. And what I say to my mom and I say to my friends is get out of the house. Get out of the house, whether it's going to go for a walk, go to the park, go to the library. I was saying to my mom the other day, I was like, go to the library. They have like, there's smart people there. They don't have like dumb people at the library. Like, go to the library. You'll make some friends. And she's like, you know what, Tara? I am. And I was like, good, go. And she made a friend. So, so I tell her, like, get out of your house, put yourself out there. I know it seems awkward sometimes to put yourself out there. Of course, like there are so many different like dating apps and everything out there right now if you're looking to meet a partner. And even there are friendship apps. There are things called Peanut, which is an app where you can make other mom friends. But I often say like get out of your house as much as you can. Try to meet up with friends, try to meet up with new people. And we in the US right now have a loneliness epidemic. It is literally an epidemic that the US Surgeon General declared. And part of that is because we are isolated in our own individual homes, each on our own cell phones, scrolling each other's lives on Instagram and TikTok and stuff like that, as opposed to getting together in person. where we could like look at each other and laugh and tell stories and be together. And like, yeah, that's what human beings need. We like
Yeah.
need to be together. And so that's why I say to my mom, as much as I can, like go out and just try to what there's a lot of different clubs she joins since she retired. She's retired now. I'm like, join every club, try to do all the things, because otherwise she's just gonna be home.
Yeah.
And that only just feeds into more and more loneliness. So the advice there is, try to get together with friends, try to meet people at the parks and at the playgrounds, go walking around your neighborhood, your community, your city, your park, whatever, and just get out there.
That's so good. That's so good. How
It's hard.
important?
I mean, it's hard though too, because like you have to do that like also with work. And so if you can meet new friends through work, or go out to lunch together, if you're ever able to like maybe do a happy hour, stuff like that, try to be as social as you can when you can, because if there are some times where like you don't have your kids, and if maybe like your co-parent has the kids that weekend or
Mhm.
that night, like I know many times it's really tempting to stay in bed and like watch a movie and eat ice cream and just like stay in bed all day.
Yeah.
But like there's a time and a place for that sometimes too. But I've also spoken with a lot of friends who want to do that. And I'm like, you know what? Go put on a dress. Well, like go take a shower and go put on a dress, go put on some makeup, and let's go dancing. And let's go out and let's be people.
Yeah.
And there's a time, and like I said, there's a time and a place for eating ice cream and watching a movie, but there's another time and a place for having your makeup on and going out and going dancing and just having a great time. And so I really cannot underestimate how important it is to get out there and be with people.
Awesome. What what so for me, before I ask you this question, for me, I've learned to date myself. So I chose to stay single until I meet the right one, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
I started dating myself, and
I
then I
love that.
have my friends where I don't have too much. I'm in Atlanta right now. I don't have too much friends here, but
Mm-hmm.
I have the few that I have. I'm like, I schedule dates with them. I'm like, let's go for sushi.
Love that.
Let's
I
go.
love that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I try to go to at least two events per year, and I'll invite a friend. So I'm not just going by myself, but I also am intentional. I'm very shy. So I'm also intentional about when I go to these events, I'm going to network. So it
Yes.
was a big intention that I set for this year, especially. So that's so,
Mm-hmm. That is such like I love to hear that. That's such good news because it's
yeah.
true. I think it's so important to date yourself. I am an only child with an only child actually, so I am fiercely independent. I mean, I have been since I was a little kid when I was like raising myself, right? So like I've always just been able to do things by myself, and I'm grateful for that. I feel like that is sort of like a skill, to be able to go out to dinner by yourself, go out to the movies by yourself. Like you said, do all the things that you may do with a partner, do by yourself. And I love the phrase date yourself because I think that is so important to be able to do that. I have a friend, she's in her 40s, and only recently did she go out, and she was single too. She only recently went out to dinner by herself for like the first time. And I was like, girl, just go out to dinner by yourself now. She's like, I don't know, I was too shy. And I was like, no, it's fun. No one's telling you what to do. You can do whatever you want to do. You can eat whatever you want to eat. It's fine. It's fun.
Yeah.
Um, so I think, yeah, it's important to be able to like feel comfortable in dating yourself. I really like that phrase, Priscilla. I think that that's a really good one.
Yeah. I've just been doing the food dates. I have not been to the movies yet. Not yet.
Well, there's no look, it's dark out. Nobody would even know. You're just there all by
Yeah.
yourself. That's okay.
Yeah. So we spoke about building a village and community,
Mm-hmm.
right? I
Mm-hmm.
just want to emphasize, I want to hear how important it is to really building, having a community and a support system, and
Mm-hmm.
what ways to build one.
Yeah, I mean, it is key. It is people, human beings are meant to be in communities. We are meant to work together to raise our families and to build these communities. And so you cannot underestimate it enough. And yeah, people say, in the modern day, well, where's our village everyone's promising us, or where was this village that was promised to us? And you have to make that village, or you have to pay for that village, or you have to create that village. And for me growing up, my mom's village looked like my grandparents who were babysitting me, my friends' parents who were driving me places when I needed rides, or when I needed dinner, or when I needed to sleep over. Who else was it? It was, maybe my uncles. And everyone's village is going to look different. Some other people, like my mom didn't, pay for what's what I'm looking for, babysitters or anything like that. But I know plenty of people that, like, yeah, I need someone to pick up my kid from school. So I have to pay somebody to pick up my kid from school and then watch them until I come home from work, right? That is part of your village.
Yeah.
And you cannot underestimate how important all these people are. Another, thinking about village growing up, my mom worked in a restaurant business. On Saturdays, I would often go with her to work and sit in the booth of a restaurant and read my book all day. And there were a few customers and even some of the employees of the restaurant that would come and sit with me and keep me company in the booth of the restaurant. And like those people were part of my mom's village. There's a
Yeah.
woman named Miriam, and she would come and she would sit with me and we would like chat and maybe eat lunch together or something like that. And so she would stay for a little while and then she would leave. And then there was another woman, Beverly, that would come and like look in on me. And so you can't underestimate those people in the village. It's the neighbors, it's the friends, it's all of those people. Because you can't do it yourself. You cannot do it all alone. You need friends, and that's as simple as it is, right? That's all that it is. Like you can't do everything all the time.
I was having a conversation with a friend and I said, you know what? It took two to have this child. It's going to take more than two to raise this child. So if
Mm-hmm.
you don't have that community, if you don't
Mm-hmm.
have that support, you're going to crash and burn.
Yep.
And no matter what it is, if it's parenthood, you can't do everything by yourself. And I,
Right.
I learned that the hard way.
No, it's true though. It really is. You can't like underestimate how important that is. And I'm so grateful to my grandparents, really my grandparents on both sides, because they helped shape me into the person that I am today. It wasn't like just my mom, like the influence of my mom. It was the influence of my mom, but then also my grandparents. And so I'm very grateful um to my extended family for like teaching me different things that like my mom like wasn't able to teach me. She's only one person. She can't do everything. She can't hold down the fort and pay all the bills and work and all of that kind of stuff and teach me how to be a person. There was not enough hours of the day for that, right? And so luckily my grandparents stepped in to do that. And that's the beauty of a village.
Mhm. What has been the best parenting advice you've ever received, and did that help you?
Oof. Hmm. One bit of parenting advice that I like to impart with people, share with people, is to let go of societal expectations. You
Mhm.
have this vision in your head of what your life should look like, or what you were hoping that your life was going to look like. And this is like how you should act and how you should be and all this kind of stuff. Throw that right out the window,
Mhm.
because you need to live your life, the life that you are in right now, not like a fairy tale life or a life that you saw on Instagram or something like that. And trust your gut enough to be like, you know what? This is who I am, and I am happy with myself. And you know what? I'm going to make this work. I'm going to make this work. And those expectations hold you back from being who you really are. And when you find out, like when you really tap into who you are as a person, you're amazing. You're
Yeah.
freaking amazing. So like let that shine, let that come through. Don't let those expectations be holding you back, be making you into somebody else that you're not. Like that's not it. So shed those. I always like to think, Elsa from the movie Frozen, where she's like singing Let It Go. It's like that. It's like, let it go. Let it go. Let those expectations go. And then just let your beautiful self just shine through.
Yeah. So I want to say the best advice I received, it sounds really silly, but I got those advice, oh, take care of your children, do this, do that. It was everything about the kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it
Mm-hmm.
was the silliest, or what sounds silly, that was actually, I chose to be the best advice. And it was a friend of mine, and it was an advice from her aunt. And she says, don't forget about yourself when you have kids. She's like, lotion your skin. And I'm like,
Yeah.
lotion my skin.
It's a good analogy. It is. No,
and
it's a good analogy.
yeah, but self-care, that word never existed 10, 15 years ago.
Mm-mm.
So
Yep.
now, it's like I look at my legs and I'm like, damn, your legs are dry. And it goes back to take care of yourself, lotion
Yes.
your skin.
Yes. Yes, it
So,
is. No, it really does. No,
yeah,
that is so important because I was saying this on Instagram the other day. Children do not need a perfect mother, but they need a happy mother. And what happy means is that you're content and that you feel not so stressed out. Like you have to take care of yourself. You don't have to be perfect, but you have to take care of yourself. And that is what children need.
yeah,
Period. End of story. They're not looking to have, Cinderella as their mom, but they're looking at a happy, healthy you.
yeah. Yeah. If you could give one advice to moms struggling with burnout, what would that be?
Mm, that is really true. My biggest advice there is find something, anything that gives you a spark of joy again, that makes you forget about everything else and taps into you. So whether that is learning a new language, whether that's playing with Legos, whether that's going out dancing with your friends, whatever it is that gives you a little spark of joy and reignites you, and you go, oh, I see me again. Oh, I'm not just Jaden's mom. Like, I'm not just like a mom anymore. Like, I am a person. I am me. I am the same me I was before I had kids or after I have kids. So that's one thing to sort of like spark the joy back again. The burnout thing also then goes into the systems that we were talking about earlier. Is, do you have enough childcare? Are you in a adequate childcare situation? Is work okay, from paying your bills and or mental health issues? So you have to look at the systems in place in your life when you're starting to think about burnout. And
Mhm.
then so it's almost like a triangle, right? It's like you have to like look at the bottom and be like, what are the systems like in my life right now? Like, are these things all working together in harmony? And then you could get to the next level, which would be like things that you would want to do that spark the joy in your life again. But unless you get your systems right, then there's always going to be something that's like a little off, that's going to cause more burnout.
Yeah. And so I know a lot of people, they would say schedule stuff like schedule a massage, or, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
for your nails, your hair done. I
Yeah.
to the point where I can do my hair, I can do my nails. I don't want to do that. I just want to go for a walk. So when you say
Mm-hmm.
find something that sparks your joy, for me, it's like taking a long walk, like a 40, 50 minute out.
Mm-hmm.
It brings me so much peace. And there's so
Yep.
much that I do in that walk. I have conversations with myself, I have
Yep.
conversations with God, I
Yep.
give gratitude. There's so
Yep.
much that you can do. You can listen to music if you choose to, you can call someone
Mm-hmm.
if you choose to, you can
Mm-hmm.
take the children with you. So it's
Mm-hmm.
something as simple as taking a walk that can be, something that relieves that burnout, that stress, just something that's you step away from everything, the job,
Yes.
the kids, the house, the
Yes.
to-do list.
All of that. All of
Yeah.
that. That is, yeah, that is such an important thing. That would probably be my one of my biggest things. And it doesn't have to be expensive. What going out for a walk is free.
Yeah.
Sitting down and writing in a journal, or having gratitude, or praying, like they're all free things. So it doesn't have to be like this big grandiose, like, oh, I have to go get my hair done, blown out, nails done. Like, it's not that all the time. It can be, but it doesn't have to be.
Right. What's next for modern mom problems?
Oh, what is next? That's a good question. So I'm still recording episodes of the podcast. I have my Instagram page, so everyone follow me at Modern Mom Probs on Instagram. I'm starting to now put my podcast episodes onto YouTube, so follow me on YouTube too. That's sort of a new project for me. And this summer, actually, it's spring technically. This spring, I'm hosting a women's wellness retreat in New Jersey. And I'm super excited about that because that's something that I've been wanting to do for years.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy that it's like finally happening. It's happening April 26th in New Jersey. So you could follow along for more information on that. But yeah,
Awesome.
it's fun. It's been a minute of doing this and creating content and having these conversations, but I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Awesome. So this is something that I'm doing at the end of every interview is asking two fun questions.
Mhm.
First question is, if I was a genie and I give you one wish to be anywhere in the world, where would you want to be?
Anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Let's say, oh gosh, let's say Bora Bora because I've never been to Bora Bora.
By the beach.
Yeah, let's go to the beach.
Awesome. And then my next question is, I asked you a million questions. I'm giving you the opportunity to ask me one question.
I'm gonna ask you a question. You know what? You're gonna laugh. I love your background. What is that? That's so
Oh,
pretty.
it's funny you said that because I'm looking at your background and then I realized we both have black on.
Yeah, I really like yours. Yours is so pretty.
And I got it from Amazon.
It's great. I love
Yeah.
that.
And
And it
then,
like just like you just stick it on the wall like that.
yeah.
That's
And
amazing.
there's that plant with a window.
Yeah, that looks great. I love
Yeah.
that. That was it. The whole time I was like, that background looks so beautiful. I love that.
Thank you. Yeah.
How old are your children? That's my last question.
My children are two, so it's two girls. One is 15 tomorrow, and
Happy
that's
birthday.
one. And thank you. And then the next one is gonna be 12 this year.
Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, my son is 12. He'll be 13 in the fall. So, woo, we got teenagers. That's a whole nother thing altogether.
I know, teen and preteen is it's not too
It's
bad. It's not
no,
too
it's actually knock on wood. It's not too bad. I did have to pick him up from school today because accidentally someone threw a laptop at his head and cut his head and he had a
bad.
bump and then I had to bring him home. So he's upstairs watching TV now.
Oh, wow. But I want to say thank you so much for
Oh, thank you, Priscilla. This was amazing. This was amazing. And let me know when it's all done and then I'll share it online.
sure. Thank you so
Great.
much.
We'll chat soon. Mwah. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Priscilla. Bye.